There's no way around it. To be a successful business, you also have to be a dynamic salesperson. But what exactly does that mean, and what does it mean to be a good salesperson? Today, let's go beyond the sales pitch and the proposal. We'll be chatting with two experienced salespeople that fit the bill and are here to give you tips on how to be the best salesperson you can be. Welcome back to the Obsessed Marketer Podcast. I'm Andrew Hayes, your social and digital media specialist here at Viral Solutions. Maybe you've just started your business and don't know a thing about sales. Or maybe you're in sales, but maybe need a few refreshers on some best tactics. Let's start with a baseline for what makes a good salesperson. There's a really good Inc.com article written by Matt Ehrlichman. He's the founder and CEO of Porch, and he has 5 points for what make a really good, effective salesperson on his team. Number 1, they clearly understand the why. Basically, you know what you're selling and you're proud of it. Number 2, they're helping, not just selling. Basically, you just know that what you're selling is going to help people and it's going to help your prospective client, and you kind of get that sense of joy when the sale goes through because you're helping them. Number 3, they have clear intent. That just means you have pure intentions and you care about the product that you're selling. Number 4, they only focus on what's in their power to control. Basically, there's no fear of rejection here, and if there is rejection, a good salesperson is going to use that rejection to learn from it and better the craft. And number 5, they listen more than they talk. Basically, that's letting the prospective buyer have the floor and not just liking the sound of their own voice like a used car salesman. Now, to get more granular and more insight on these, let's break it down into a couple categories. What your first call looks like, some key mistakes that salespeople will make early on in their career, to how sales and marketing can work well together and need to work well together. And 2 business professionals are going to help us out today. First is Aaron Salata. He is
the Director of Business Development here at Viral Solutions. My goal, my job is to grow the business. I have a long history of doing sales, inbound sales, outbound sales, B2C, B2B. Started in my early 20s selling insurance, worked for a couple insurtech startups as well. Working for a marketing agency, while, very different, sales is very similar right across, any different industry.
And Tim Partasevitch. He's
Chief Growth Officer at Smart IT. I'm head of sales and marketing at the company, and I'm also co-founder at Juggle. Juggle is the HR tech platform for consolidating interviewing, recruitment, and payroll for IT professionals. My academic background is not sales or business related. Academic background is engineering. Graduated in 2016, right around Brexit, from the University of Manchester. After I got back home, I'm originally from Belarus, Eastern Europe. Going through engineering wasn't really a viable career path in Belarus, so I was still looking for alternative ways to kind of build myself up. What I did is I looked for a job, and I joined a small but prominent marketing agency from Belarus. I joined as a content manager, but then I kind of moved and switched my position to a sales manager, then through going to a little bit more into business development, and at the end, in a couple of years, I became vice president of business development there and the head of sales department.
What does that first kind of call with a prospective client, what does that kind of look like?
First call is tricky. You can make first impression only once, so it's really important to nail it down. Sometimes, you should be just prepared that, just like with dating, there is no chemistry. You're in front of a person, they don't feel you, you don't feel them. It's nothing, and just drop it. Those are, even if they're perfect, customer from a prospecting kind of way, the business really fits, you can try it, but if they're not gonna trust you, good luck doing any sort of business. You'll reap no benefits.
The first thing is to just introduce myself, right? And then learn about them. The biggest thing I can do to move that conversation on is just listen. Find out what their problem is, ask the right question, and then segue that to, a position, right? How can we how can Viral Solutions help their business based on the problems that they're experiencing, right?
Try to have a couple of questions here and there, ask them how their day is going. For example, like if I have a customer from UK, for example, okay, I lived in UK for 5 years, I've been here and there, I lived in Manchester. If they are from the north of England, that's really cool. We already have something to talk about.
So listening is huge, learning about them is huge, and then being able to like put together a positioning statement on why we can help them or how we can help them, and hopefully, moving on to next steps from there.
Treat the first call as an interrogation. That's kind of the best way to describe it, I think. Like, you're on the first sales call, you need to gather as much information as you need. Always assume, even if you've done your homework, even if you've done your research and you have like some initial prospecting, assume that you know nothing. It's better that way. Just assume that you're the dumbest person in the room and just ask questions all the time. You should be not talking. 80% of the time, prospect should be talking during the first call. Now, there are like many tactics that you can employ while listening, like they call, like, for example, mirroring is just a repetition of previous couple words that the person next to you just said. So that there are kind of like tricks and psychological tricks that you can employ to be a better listener.
Would you say that's a common mistake then with like early, like novice salespeople, right? Like not preparing enough? Like, are there any other things that, maybe some young salespeople or somebody just kind of like starting to do sales kind of fall into?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest one. And just like, well, it can go two ways. You can become overconfident or just be overconfident, right? Like, oh, I'm going to make the sale, like whoever I talk to, and maybe you're not preparing because of that, right?
Like, and that's why the research is kind of important. You can do the research and like from the social media of any person, you can kind of gauge their interest.
Or the opposite, like you need to know at the end of the day, you're going to get more no's than yeses, right? A lot more no's. And you can't let that drag you down, because like that, starting out as a new salesperson, that's the hardest thing, right? Like hearing no all the time, back in the day of cold calling, getting hung up on, getting called names, getting sworn at, right? And that still happens, today, unfortunately, right? So I think just, keeping an even keel, brushing off your shoulder, right? Just knowing you're going to get way more no's than yeses, celebrating the wins when you get them, but then, moving on to the next, because, no one can, survive off one sale in their life, right? It's a continuous game, and you got to continue to get better, learn from each interaction, whether it went great or horribly, find something to take from it, and then, on to the next.
The very first mistake that many salespeople do is they start rambling about themselves and about the company and how they're gonna help you without even knowing like what the problem is in the first place. Maybe the person, like, they have a problem and you need to start rattling off how you do business that way and that way, and you never listen to what they actually need. So it kind of seems fakey. It's like car salesman stereotype, the one who just keeps rambling and trying to sell you. So rambling about yourself and your business is the first mistake. And the second, I think too many salespeople try to close on the very first call already and kind of move towards closing and starting like proposing some ideas and everything. Like, if you don't have anything to propose, just don't. Tell to the person next to you, like, listen, like, I got you, I heard your problem, I really care about it, and I need time. I need time to think, because I'm not sure how to solve this problem right now. What is the best way? I think there might be a couple ways here and there. Maybe throw around a couple of options, bounce several ideas, brainstorm with them here and there, but don't be too rushed.
God. So let's switch over into this kind of topic then. How do sales and marketing kind of work together in a way?
Yeah, I mean, that's like, they're like, I would say twin brothers, right? Twin sisters, they're twin siblings.
The thing is, you don't want one to directly respond to another. So you don't want marketing to respond to just sales, because it's not sales' job to do the marketing. But you want the input from sales people and that's what you want. You want input. You want them working in kind of like this symbiotic relationship.
They're so important that however your organization is set up, your sales team, your marketing team should be on the same page, right? In my last organization, we actually made the sales goals and the marketing goals the same, right? So that everyone was working together, and that worked wonders for the organization, right? Everyone was cohesive. We weren't like, oh, that's a sales lead. No, that's a marketing lead. Like, we weren't fighting over anything. And that's the same here at Viral Solutions. I work together with our, internal team to make sure that our marketing that we're doing for ourselves is in line with, what I want to see in terms of our qualified leads. We meet at least twice a week to discuss that. So yeah, it's so important. Like, they need to be in line. They want to have the same goals. And I think at the end of the day, like our client, we preach the same to our clients. Make sure everyone is aligned. Like, there shouldn't be any fighting. At the end of the day, the goal is about revenue and growth. And to get there, we got to make sure everyone's on the same page.
And there you go. Sales is all about perfecting the craft, and there's just no one way to do it. And plus, it's constantly evolving with the rapid succession of technology and the digital world we live in today. If you learned something new today, or maybe just refreshed your brain on some sales tactics, make sure to give this video a like on YouTube or send us a comment on viralsolutions.net. And if you ever need a little bit of help with marketing for your business, we got you with a free consultation at viralsolutions.net. Special thanks to Tim and Aaron for helping out with this video. You can find all their links in the show notes below. Subscribe to The Obsessed Marketer wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Andrew Hayes. We'll see you next week.